Hey there everyone, Luke here, and yeah, it's up. The painting is up, done by Ben Anderson, which, by the way, going to be meeting him on Thursday because he's travelling to Manchester to go away and do a project himself. So yeah, looking forward to meeting him and thanking him in person for the painting. Honestly, I do love that I've got all three of my cats on my wall now. Yeah, took a little while to get that on there, but yeah, so that'll be in the background from now on, along with the pictures up there that you'll see from time to time. But yeah, it's nice that we do have that there from now on in each of the videos. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say. But let's just get into this chapter because a theory that we've had for a while has finally come true. Okay, so this will be chapter 227, titled Betrayal. Now, considering a lot of people that have read the chapter knows exactly what that title of that chapter is indicative of. It's a theory that we've had for a while, like I said. Like me and Pie Jams, we had it for a while, like, we really don't trust this character or these characters, like, are they going to betray them? And yes, that's actually what's happened. So, hey, we were on Chelsea and Dr. Stone, but we finally got it with Miss Yozakura family, didn't we, Pie Jams? So anyway, we start off from pretty much the end of the last chapter where we had Shion going into basically her demon girl form in her RPG style gaming to go up against Yo, and she says like, deeper thingies from darkness I call upon. Basically doing like this insane chant, and we have Nano afterwards, basically doing like how Sorrel did in the live action One Piece, where Luffy was like, all great superheroes call out the names of their attacks. It's almost like, no, they don't. This is pretty much exactly what Nano is doing now, where we have him saying like, no, don't kill her. She's still a kid. She's still a child in this situation. And what was up with that half-hearted incantation? It was like Shion was just making it up as she goes along. She's like, deeper thingies from the darkness, like Kobe, do whatever and wake up some nasty big things also. Yeah, she was just making that up as she went along to get to the moment of like Shion Blaze, as we have it hurtling towards, it's basically a fireball that's just hurling towards Yo, and Yo is just there like, oh my god, this is like real fire. Still fake though. I love when people are like that. When people are like that in situations like, oh my god, this is really awesome coming to me. Yeah, but it's still fake either way. It's like in Back to the Future where Marty was getting scared of the shark hologram, and he goes like, no, the shark still looks fake. Or in Monty Python and the Holy Grail, when they were like, Camelot. It's only a model. I just love it when people call that out. But anyway, the blaze is quite intense. Whether or not it is real, it still creates like, I assume, a wave that just hurls these nano projectiles back, and not Yo. Shion's like, oh, I'm surprised you noticed that it was it was really drones. So it was the drones that were making the hologram of the fight. Oh no! What it was is my mistake. What drove those nano droid things back that were producing the fire was Yo's blooming, like the brainwaves or sound waves, whatever they're gonna call it for Yo. Yo goes on to say, and if I got unsurprised and tried to run, the slimes would have trapped me. And basically now it's like, oh, you got that correct. Before the elaborating, going, you're reading the electrical signals controlling the nanocells and drones. That'll make it extremely difficult to take her by surprise. So they kind of know, like, okay, Yo has got this situation under control, and even though we're older than her and have more experience, like, she could just basically snap her fingers and be done with our jobs. So yeah, it's kind of hard for Nano and Shion to kind of come at Yo as surprise here. Before we have Okay, Naruto calls Shion's incantation like kind of lame, but for Ball, the giant dog cat thing that is riding on, it's just like really. This is the best attack name you can come up with. Water gun. They basically. I think the Pokemon Company and Game Freak are gonna want to have words with you. Yo. Calling copyright on that attack name. And of course, as we all know, oh yeah, water beats fire. Unless you're talking to Brock in the dub of Pokemon, both Ash's Pokemon are water types and they're totally weak against fire attacks. It's like, no, Brock. Like seriously. Eric Stewart, okay, I would want, if I could meet any voice actor and ask him one question, it would be this. It would be Eric Stewart, and I would ask him, like, why on earth did you not think to say to the director, we should probably, like, I know they're just following directions, but even he had to have read that line out loud to himself and thought, like, yeah, fire beating water, yeah, maybe we should change that around a little bit. Like maybe both of Ash's Pokemon are water types, so they should be strong against fire attacks, but we just don't know. Something like that. I mean, I know we've got to get the lip syncing to match as well, but something simple like that. So like you get the same syllables in there, and the line makes sense. Like both of Ash's Pokemon are water types, so they should be strong against fire types, but we can't be certain. Like something like that could have worked. But I digress. Going off topic there. So we have as the water gun is being thrown at Nano and Shion. Nano creates this like I assume it's still fire that they're using, like a fire like water bird kind of thing, whatever it's meant to be. I mean, it's always meant to be a bird, but it's meant to be made of fire or water. Like, I don't know. So Shion hypothesizes like, oh, that's seawater that's being thrown at us, and now says like she's using some ability to pipe it in from the outside, so she probably needs to flood the whole academy, which hey might be leading to us going back to the Yozakura family match. And I know people will say like, well, what's the point of bringing everything to the academy just to bring it all back to the mansion? I don't think they're going to be bringing everything back to the mansion all at once. I feel like they're probably just going to have to get the families, and go back to the mansion, because I still believe the final battle is going to take place in the Yozakura mansion, because it would just be weird that we spend this whole time skip and we don't even spend any time in the Yozakura mansion. You know, the bulk of the series where the well, not the bulk of the series, but just like a majority of the first half of the series, that was the main location. It'd be like if it's, say, in Power Rangers, they spent like a whole season in the command center, and then another season they didn't even bother to go to the command center. It would just be weird. But anyway, they go on. Now it goes on and says, "But my cells have inflamed this entire world. Mere water pressure isn't enough to break them." So we get the reiteration of like, oh yeah, so Nano and Shio are in the central hall, whereas Shinzo and Keigo are in the central corridors. And we cut over to Keigo and Shinzo's fight with Kazu, as they're just running away from Kazu. Like we've got a bajillion copies of Shinzo and Keigo who are just being flung at Kazu while he's just slashing away. And then we have Ni, who's having the opposite effect with Futaba. Futaba's just riding on her mummy things and being like, oh, you're not half bad, let's try 5 at once. And we just see Nee being like, no, just get away from me, while she's just trying to use her explosion blooming like one after another, like, just get these things away from me. So it's kind of an interesting contrast that we have Shinzo and Keigo just running away from Kazu whilst he's slicing up all their abilities, but then we have the opposite effect with Futaba. Before we cut over to Koricho and Tayo, who have finally managed to get the behemoth down to the ground, and they make the observation of like, wow, it's big. Tayo especially, and yeah, I'll give them credit. Like, it should have been obvious because it was up in the sky, and even up in the sky it was quite big. But just having it be like in front of them, like. You see Koricho and Tayo, and they're only like a fraction. So like if they're like at the foot of the Behemoth, and the Behemoth is just like right up here, right up here. So it's kind of like, okay, okay. That's the ceiling to my room right there. So imagine if Karicho and Tile were like down where my feet are, and this room is like about 6'7", like because I'm about 6'2", so it's about like just can barely get me in. I mean, I know I'm using the hat, so if I take the hat off, like you'll be able to see, like, so yeah. Quite so yeah, about 6'7" type person can fit in this room, and it's kind of the same thing here with the Behemoth. Like, they're really tiny specs compared to the monstrosity that is the Behemoth. So it does live up to its name. Before we see an individual going up to Asa and being like, "Oh, stopping them will be difficult," as Asa's just like, "Oh, just one of them will suffice," which. As we'll learn later on, it is Kai. Like, I'm not beating around the bush here, not just being like, oh, who's the mysterious figure here? It's a chapter called Betrayal. We've had this theory for a while that the gold rank spies were going to betray the Yozakuras, and it's finally coming into fruition. The only one that we're unsure about is Shuru, the one that has a connection with Futaba. But based on Futaba's reaction at the end of the chapter, it seems like we're going to get that. We're going to get Shuru in the next chapter coming up. And I do have a theory about why the author has actually done this, and not to just stretch out the series way past its length, because if you think about it, the Gold Red Spies, they haven't really had a major fight that they've gotten themselves involved with, so this is kind of them trying to give them a fight themselves and see what they could do. I mean, we know we had the fight between Tao and Ryu in the wedding arc, but at the same time, we need all the Gold Red Spies to have a serious proper fight, and we don't see Lord Giga in this chapter, which is something that I was interested in finding out as well. Like, is Lord Ginga also a traitor in this chapter? But anyway, so yeah, the person talking to us here is Kai, because Kai will explain later on what is actually going on with him and Asa as Asa goes on to say, no matter the era, it's always the same. The Yozakura found its power fascinates people, it bewitches them and leads them astray. So I guess what Asa is trying to say here is like the Yozakura power is a fascinating power for everyone, and everyone would probably want to get their hands on it, and it will lead everyone astray. Like, everyone wants to use the powers of the Yozakuras for their own selfish means, whereas Asa means to control it and get it under his control however he sees fit. So as Karicho and Tayo are discussing, like, oh, the entrance to the central pit, the entrance to the Behemoth is in the central pillar. We see it opening up, and we see Kai stepping through it, because it is going to be revealed to be Kai. And Karicho and Tayo both. Karicho's just not expressing anything, but you can tell, like, Karicho is probably just thinking, like, Kai, what are you doing? Whereas Tayo is more immediately shocked by this, and even though we as the audience could kind of like put together, like, there's something going on with Kai, like he's very a loose figure, so maybe he might turn out to be a traitor. It's still a pretty big shock, because we got to know Kai and we got to know his backstory with Karicho, and he seemed like if he didn't turn traitor, I feel like people would have been happy either way, because he seemed like he was obviously one of my favourite characters, top 5 easily. Now whether what they'll it depends on what they'll do with him. That makes me think, like, will he still be in my top 5 characters? And he's even in my top 3. It goes Futaba, I, and then Kai, with Keigo and Shinzo being the other 2 that round up my top 5. So yeah, we have anyway, getting back to the chapter, we have Dr. Mozu coming out of I don't know what she's coming out of, like, if she's coming out of the flames or the water. I guess she's coming out of the water that Yo created, and we have her saying to Nano, "Oh, let's wrestle right now." Before Yo wonders, like, why are you so late? Why are you so late, Mozu? And Mozu goes on and says, I'll blame it on Nano's room, before they conclude that there aren't many who can break into one of Nano's room. Don't tell me. So this is kind of indicating that Giga might be the one that hacked Mozu's room, because Giga is smart enough to do that, so maybe that might be indicating that Giga is actually a traitor as well. Before we continue on and having them going on and saying like, "Ah, you're playing gruff today." Before Nara says, "You're a scummy person, but at least you had pride. Why would you throw it in? Why would you throw it? Why would you throw in your lot with Asa?" Before Moses says like, "Oh, come on! If you know what I'm like, you should know the answer to that. It's always been a case of give and take between us and Asa. Us probably referring to the other gold rank spies. If he offers the more interesting job, I'm not the only one who'd hop on the fence over to him." So I don't know what the kind of job that Asa offered to them, like, get the Yozakuras to come over here and you get a substantial award. Is that what Asa offered to them? But anyway, we see obviously Ryu coming in to face off against Shinzo as we see him grabbing a bunch of Keigo and Shinzo dolls and saying, "Look at you running and hiding behind cheap tricks. I don't recall raising you to be such a pathetic man." And then we have I can't remember. Let me get up the name of. Hulang is the name of Keigo's teacher, master, whatever she wants to call, whatever you want to call her. As she wonders like, oh, as they all wonder like, what's happening with Dr. Mozu, and they're like, oh, I released her right on schedule. She went to acquire Shinzo and Nanano. What say we wrap up things here? And yeah, we see Hulang who has a whip and in a skin-tight leather suit. So, hey Fex, another character that you may want to be stepped on by. Like, she's got a whip and she's in basically a skin-tight leather suit. So yeah, this is Fex step-on material right here. But yeah, Keigo is just like shocked by this. Like you see like the eyes under him just being like, "Master?" Before we have Asa going on saying, "As the season turns, so too do human hearts. Across all the centuries, that has never changed. It's merely one of many truths about human nature." Yeah, so this might be indicating an incident that's coming later on in the chapter that I basically discussed with Pyrogems, because I think me and Pyrogems are in agreement. Like, these have been done to give all the siblings a chance to show off their true spring bloomings, because there was also not that many opponents for each of the siblings to actually fight here. So this gives us a chance to have all the individual siblings have an individual fight. We've got a lot of opponents now for them to go up against and for them to show off like the fruits of their training and their true spring bloomings. So we then cut into a flashback between Kai and Koricho where we have Kai saying like, "Oh, nothing's biting," and Koricho's like, "Yeah, I've noticed, and they're just fishing." Like, hey, nice to see Koricho having a moment where he's not going creepy over his sister. He's just having a nice fishing trip with his best friend here. Before they go on to say that, "I've also noticed you've been like this a lot recently. You start to say something, then stop and change the topic." And Kai is just like, "Oh, busted. It was obvious." Before Creature's like, "Oh, it was obvious. So why not just get it out and say it? You might feel better. Not that I care what it is, but I think you might actually care what it is," because Kai says, "Oh, I think I'll pass it for today. I'm not in the mood. Maybe some other time." And Creature's like, "Oh, dangling it in front of me like that," and I find I'm starting to get curious. So this is my theory about what Kai was actually going to say to him. Like, if you remember, like, Kai's backstory is very similar to Taio's. Like, he lost his family in a car crash. Taio lost his family in a car crash, and Creature brought him in because Kai saw Koricho on like what was going on with him with his hand. So he's like, "Oh, I'll protect you so that people don't see like you actually struggling with your hands here." And that one level of kindness was what allowed Kai to be brought into the world of spies by Koricho. So, and again, this is why I feel like as well Kiricho's put up with Tile so much because he reminds Kiricho so much of Kai. So that's the more than likely the reason why Kiricho tolerates Tao being around Mitsubi, because he's had that experience of someone from the outside world basically approaching him and being friendly with him and having a similar backstory to him. So what I feel has gone on here is that Tampopo and by extension Momo caused the death of Kai's family, and because Kiricho as a mid, like, he still loves Momo, I feel like Kai has taken that to feel like, I'm supposed to be your best friend, your father killed my family, and you still love him for that. Like, I don't think Kai can understand or comprehend that. I feel like that's part of the reason why Kai has turned on Kiricho here, because Kiricho has admitted that he still loves Momo even to this day, and the fact that Momo was responsible for the death of Kiricho's best friend's family. Yeah, I can understand why Kai would be pretty pissed off at that and wanted to turn on Kiricho at that point. But anyway, I could be completely wrong here, but I feel like that's a catalyst to why Kai is doing what he's doing here. And it would make perfect sense, given what we know about Taio's backstory. It would make perfect sense, and it would be like a neat little parallel between Kai and Taio, because again, they both have scars in similar locations on different sides of them. So it's kind of like they're two sides of the same coin here, whereas Taio chose the path of the Yozakuras and Kai chose like a different path. But a similar path either way to Taio at that point. And yeah, like I said, there have been subtle hints like, yeah, there's something going on with Kai here, so it's not surprising that he did turn traitor right here. And this panel with Kai is going to be the thumbnail for the chapter with the title. The title of this review is going to be called It. Because me and Pyjaz, we both called this. We both had an inkling that this was going to be happening here. And so yeah, he greets both of them, and it's like, oh, it's been a while since the wedding. You've brought even the ship down. It's impressive. I'm confident to stop at least one of you, but I can't say I'm confident. I'm confident. But I can't say I'm confident. I'm confident I can. Kind of a mouthful to get out there. So he's kind of admitting like, hey, I'm contracted to bring in at least one of you, but it's you two. You two are like the big heavy hitters of the Yozakura family. So I'm not sure even I can match up to you two. And again, this is obviously done so that Kiricho can show off his true spring blooming, because having him use his true spring blooming on his best friend would be a neat little parallel as well to him using his blooming on his father. Like, I could see this happening right now, because they go on and say like, oh, we have a flashback of Kiricho and Kai being like, what's your analysis? They see the Yozakura family as enemies. I believe this is referencing Momo here, as well. Like, it's the flashback to when we were in the Momo arc, and it was just like, oh, what do you suspect, Kiricho? It's like, yeah, they suspect the Yozakura family as enemies. So again, this is like adding to my fear. Like, yeah, Momo is the catalyst to why Kai has betrayed Kiricho here, and Taio was just absolutely bamboozled by this, before Kiricho was just like, Taio, this is between me and Kai. This is between my best friend and myself. You go on ahead. You go after Asa here. Now whether or not Tao's going to have a fight with someone else before he gets to Asa, that remains to be seen as well. So it'll be interesting to see that, like, if Tao gets a second fight before he actually goes up against Asa. In the similar way here, like, I feel like Kiricho is going to beat Kai, and then he's going to be involved in the final fight with Asa. Like, I am 100% certain that's going to happen, because it'll be weird if Kiricho isn't involved in the fight with the final villain when he's been involved with the fight with the two big villains prior to Asa. So anyway, we round out the chapter by Asa just sipping his cup of tea, basically trying to do his best Sosuke Ice impression by just saying, "Oh, nice tea, but come, it's time to take the first steps." into a new era of Yozakura family's glory. And that's where the chapter is, with everyone just staring down their opponents and being like, what the hell is going on here? So, pretty interesting chapter. Like, even though not a lot happened in this chapter, it was just basically setting up like the big major threat of the gold rank spies versus the Yozakuras here. Now, like I said, this is obviously being done because we only had like the 4 opponents. We had Yo, Mitsu, Kazu, and Ni to actually go up against all the Yozakuras. So I feel like the author was like, yeah, I need some more enemies for the Yozakuras to fight, and I've been kind of like building up on the Gold Rank Spies, so why would we make them be the opponents? Because they would be perfect opponents, like, they are perfect opponents to show off all the true spring breweries, because they're the same, most of them are the same rank of the Yozakuras. Some of them are even higher ranks than some of the Yozakuras, so it'd be interesting to see how the Yozakuras get around this. Like, some of them are silver rank spies versus gold rank spies, and whether or not we will get all the true spring brews of the Yozakuras. But I'm 100% saying that's another reason why this has been done as well. And this also raises the stakes for the series as well. Like, one of the major issues that, because My Hero Academia is ending soon, like, its final battle, it has ended, so I feel like the next feature is going to be a wrap-up before we get the final chapter. One of the main criticisms I do have of My Hero Academia, and I would really want to do like a full-on retrospective with Tyler from Control Chaos, and possibly even Pie Jumps if you're up for it, on My Hero Academia when the series ends. But yeah, one of the major criticisms that I do have with My Hero is that not really high stakes that have happened, whereas Yozakura has just given us like a bunch of stakes here. Like, you've got like the betrayal of the gold rank spies and the potential danger that the twins are now actually in. Because, like I said, the fact that this was going so well for the Yozakuras, I feel like there was something going to happen, and something has happened. I feel like this, it could go either way now. Like, one of the Yozakura siblings could get kidnapped by us. So just one of them, not both of them. And I feel like if one of them was going to get kidnapped, Hirofumi would be the more interesting one, because it's more of the fighting type as opposed to Alpha, or even Alpha could be destroyed, could be kidnapped because of his technical genius. And like I said, I feel like if we're going to have the final battle, it has to be at the Yozakura Mansion. Like, it'll bring the series full circle. We start off at the Yozakura Mansion, and we end off at the Yozakura Mansion. Like, the first major big battle happened there, and the final major battle is going to happen there. I feel like that would be the best way to cap off the series. And, yeah, this revelation with the Gold Rank Spies, I'm not sure now if we're actually going to end the series this year, because I feel if not this year, then very early next year, like 2025, very early. Like, maybe it will end on because we're on the 4-year, like maybe 5 years of Yozakura, like, or it could be 6 years. Like, I feel like it did. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it started in 2019, so 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. So yeah, it might end on the 6th year. Like, you just don't know. But we just don't know at this point. And we'll just have to wait and see how long this actual final arc is actually gonna go about. But anyway, guys, what did you think of this chapter? Let me know. Like, subscribe, comment, all that jazz. And this will be Luke signing off. Later, guys.